And I now recognize Ms. Cheney for 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask unanimous consent to enter a document into the record that's titled Overview and then frequently asked questions that initially appeared on Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez's website and was submitted to NPR.
Without objection.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I appreciate very much the opportunity to discuss this issue today of how we transition our communities to a so-called green economy. My state of Wyoming, as I'm sure our witnesses know, is the nation's largest coal-producing state. And we also know in Wyoming that coal is going to continue to be a crucially important source of baseload power for the nation, that the reliability is something that simply cannot be replaced, and that it's a national security issue in addition to an economic issue. And so my constituents are obviously very concerned about this notion that we're somehow going to transition over the course of 10 years here to, an economy that is entirely run on green energy. And certainly they have concerns about the fossil fuel aspect of that. But I have to say one of the issues that people are particularly concerned about is the extent to which we're no longer going to have air travel, apparently, according to some of the frequently asked question answers we've seen. So I guess I'd like to start by asking each witness to tell me exactly how they arrived in Washington, D.C. for this hearing, and it's just a one-word answer. And I'll start with you, Ms. Farley.
A big white pickup truck.
I drove. Plane.
Air and Metro.
Well, thank you very much. And so I'd like to ask, I would assume that each of the witnesses who believes that we should in fact move towards net zero emissions would say that we ought to do so gradually, not suddenly. And so I would ask, and I'll start with you, Ms. Farley, if you could describe for me perhaps exactly how we'll do that gradually. I would assume we're not just going to wait 10 years and then all of a sudden tell people they can't fly, but that we'll be in a situation where over the course of the 10 years, we would somehow gradually work our way out of air travel. And I would also have to guess that that would involve some sort of prioritization. So I assume even my colleagues on the other side of the aisle who support the Green New Deal and perhaps the witnesses who support the Green New Deal wouldn't advocate, for example, that we cancel things like, life flights. They wouldn't advocate that we immediately move away from being able to transport people who have, life-threatening illnesses by plane, but that there would be some other prioritization there. So, Ms. Farley, could you tell me exactly how the government should prioritize air travel and the gradual move away from all air travel?
I would depend on the FAA and other federal agencies that focus on air travel to tackle that question. The Green New Deal is a sweeping collection of recommendations and policies.
Thank you very much, Ms. Farley. So the FAA then, I would assume, I guess we're going to set up a situation where the FAA then can tell individual citizens which of their air travel is worthy and important and which isn't. And it would seem to me, I guess we would then have a situation where the FAA could say, for example, you know what, vacation travel, that's not essential. We got to make sure that we can do the air travel for the people that really need it, so no vacation travel. Would you say we're going to have some sort of a vacation commissar set up in the government to determine what kind of air travel makes sense and what kind doesn't? Ms. Schrader, maybe I'll go to you on that question.
With all due respect, I came here to talk about my community and how we have transitioned.
So you don't support the Green New Deal then?
Decimated by the.
So Ms. Schrader, thank you. You don't support the Green New Deal?
I'm not an expert on the Green New Deal.
Okay.
Would the gentlelady yield for a correction on how she's badly mischaracterizing
No, I won't
the
yield, Mr.
resolution on the
Huffman.
Green New
Mr.
Deal?
Huffman, you
This
had
is
plenty
fiction.
of time.
This
Mr.
entire
Huffman,
line of questions
I'd like to have
is
my
fiction.
time restored, please, Mr. Chairman. So let me ask you then, are there any other witnesses on the panel who do support the Green New Deal? Nobody supports the Green New Deal on this panel. Interesting.
I
That's peaceful.
support many of the policies and recommendations in the Green New Deal.
I see.
Specifically, the support to make sure that any climate solution strategy is centered in equity.
Thank you very much, Ms. Farley. I appreciate that. Reclaiming my time, I would just say that I think it's going to be crucially important for us to recognize and understand when we outlaw plane travel, we outlaw gasoline, we outlaw cars. I think actually probably the entire U.S. military because of the Green New Deal, that we are able to explain to our constituents and to people all across this country what that really means. And even when it comes down to something like air travel, which the frequently asked questions say they want to eliminate within the next 10 years, that means that the government is going to be telling people where they can fly to and where they can't. And I would assume, I guess that means our colleagues from California are going to be riding their bicycles back home to their constituents. Thank you very much. I yield back.